Hello and welcome to Financial Intelligence. In this video, I want to talk about how millennials are worse off compared to previous generations. A big part of the American dream is that each generation will do better than the one that preceded it. That has been part of what made America special and distinctive. Even though the US economy is still growing, wealth inequality is growing even faster, and hence not everyone is prospering. Most of the wealth generated in the US is accumulated by the top earners. As a result, millennials are on track to be the first generation not to exceed their parents in terms of living standards. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 factors that have contributed to this dramatic shift. If you like the type of content that I provide, subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up, and also hit the notification bell so that you won't miss any of my future videos. Factor number 1, wages are stagnant at best. Despite the strong labor market in the US, wage growth has lagged continuously. In fact, after some ups and downs over the past several decades, today's real average wage, that is the wage after accounting for inflation, has the same purchasing power it did 40 years ago. And what wage gains there have been have mostly flowed to the highest paid tier of workers. For instance, this chart shows the percentage change in real annual wages by wage group that I have borrowed from the Economic Policy Institute's website. I will add the link to their analysis in the description box below so that you can check it out yourself. As you can see, the real wage for the top 1% of earners, shown by the navy line, has increased by roughly 157%. The real wage for the bottom 90% of the workers, shown by the light blue line, has increased by roughly 22% only. One data caveat is that the real wages in this chart are calculated using the Consumer Price Index, or CPI for short, reported by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Consumer Price Index is the official metric used by the US government to track inflation. However, the Consumer Price Index systematically understates the real level of inflation in the economy. You can watch one of my previous videos that shows how the Consumer Price Index is manipulated to report lower inflation. My point is that if we had used the real inflation numbers, which are thought to be twice the officially reported numbers, the real wage for the bottom 90% of workers would have actually shown a decline over time. Factor number 2, rising costs of living. There are many sources that track cost of living in the US. One of them is the Economic Policy Institute, which is an independent non-profit think tank that researches the impact of economic trends and policies on working people in the United States. According to a recent study published by this institute, for a 2-parent, 2-child family in Washington, D.C., it costs about $10,000 per month or $120,000 per year to secure a modest yet adequate standard of living. However, most of these cost categories have been on an upward trajectory for the longest time. Let's take a look at the housing cost, which is the largest cost component, as an example. To demonstrate just how out of whack the discrepancy between income versus rents and house prices has become over the years, I borrowed a chart released by the research department of Clever Real Estate. They have looked at the trend of home prices, rents, and household income side by side since 1960. After adjusting for inflation over time, they have shown that the future of American dream seems rather gloomy. The data shows that median home prices increased by 121% nationwide since 1960, but median household income only increased by 29%. Home buyers aren't the only ones struggling. Median gross rent increased by 72% since the 1960s, more than twice the growth seen by adjusted incomes, making renting costlier than ever and saving for a future home more difficult. Factor number 3, higher debt burden. Millennials are the generation with the fastest growing debt load, which isn't surprising when you consider this cohort is increasingly having children, buying homes, and continuing to pay off their student debts. According to the Experian 2020 State of Credit Report, the average millennial consumer has about $27,000 in non-mortgage debt, including credit cards, student loans, car loans, and or personal loans. I will add the link to their analysis in the description box below so that you can check it out yourself. Student loan debt is particularly a major factor. Millennials have 300% more student loan debt than their parents did, are half as likely to own a home than a young adult was in 1975, and will likely not be able to retire until age 75. Rising student loan debt has also played a role in declining homeownership among the millennials. In summary, the wealth gap between millennials and previous generations has widened in recent years. Obstacles such as stagnant wages, rising living expenses, and debt burdens have contributed to pushing this generation to be the first one in America not to exceed their parents in terms of living standards. I hope that you liked this video. If you have any recommendation or suggestion, add them in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and also hit the notification bell so that you won't miss any of my future videos. Thank you and take care.